coming up on Mornings on the Hill.
Good morning, Central New York. It's technically the first day of spring, and if you look behind me, it doesn't look like it.
We've got a full check of weather just ahead.
A ban of TikTok is becoming a real possibility. We take a look at the potential free speech implications.
Plus, March Madness in more ways than one. The SU women's basketball team preparing for the big dance, while the SU men are already dealing with transfer portal chaos.
Mornings on the Hill is right around the corner. Good morning, I'm Zach Prees. Thanks for joining us for Mornings on the Hill.
And I'm Jonathan Kinane. Here's a look at today's top story.
Well, Jonathan, today is the first day of spring.
You sure about that, Zach? Let's go outside to our meteorologist Patrick Smith with a look at the current weather forecast.
Well, Jonathan and Zach, you guys are right. It is the first day of spring, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't look or feel like it out here. Walking in earlier this morning, it felt more like a midwinter's day in Antarctica with as much snow as was falling this morning. Now for the freezing point, we are right at that 32 mark, so you need to make sure those jackets are still on, and for snow showers, you can expect those to kind of come in and out throughout the day. Now I'll have a look with the current and future forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Reporting for Mornings on the Hill, I'm Patrick Smith.
The United States has moved a step closer to banning the app TikTok. This decision has been met with much controversy.
Our Whitney Williams tells us how this potential ban could affect SU students. Whitney?
Yes, Jonathan. The House of Representatives on Wednesday passed a bill that could boot TikTok out of the U.S. app stores. Now, this particular bill is giving the app's Chinese owner, ByteDance, either one of two options. A, ByteDance sells TikTok within 165 days, or B, TikTok may face a ban. Now, if TikTok is banned, this could affect nearly half of the population, since that's how many people actually use TikTok in the country. Now, this use goes beyond just mere entertainment, but many American businesses and influencers who use TikTok to promote their brands and businesses are at risk of losing their livelihoods. This could also even affect students right here on campus. I had the opportunity of speaking with content creator and travel journalist Kristen Lilly, who uses TikTok as her primary platform to edit and air her travel stories. She told me that if there is a TikTok ban, she may have to bite the bullet and resort to YouTube, something she really doesn't want to do.
My TikTok just started getting off the ground within the past year or so. And to hear this news, it's really surprising and a little bit disheartening, especially working so hard on the content that I produce. TikTok just became monetized. So it affects me along with a lot of different creators. And TikTok is one of those platforms where you can grow very quickly. So this does have a negative impact on the creative space.
Despite the concerns of creators like Lily, House legislators are arguing that TikTok could allow the Chinese government to access Americans' private user data, since the Chinese government has a stake in the company. TikTok has consistently denied these allegations of sharing user data, stating that the company is privately owned and operated. Digital groups are arguing that if TikTok is banned, this could be an infringement on the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Even though this particular bill has been passed by the House, it still has many more stages to go through. It still has to be thoroughly reviewed and approved by the Senate and then signed off by President Biden before it can become binding law. This means that right now we are still facing only a potential ban, but it is still a very real threat to millions of Americans everywhere. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Whitney Williams.
A possible ban on TikTok is not only a concern for students, it's also a concern of free speech advocates.
Now, many of us are familiar with Newhouse professor Roy Gutterman and have taken his common law class. Professor Gutterman is following the case closely and tells Mornings on the Hill that he has concerns that banning the popular social media platform may be in violation of the First Amendment.
So, no, there's no real precedent for any of this, and in some ways it's kind of, really new fertile ground on where we're going to go legally with potentially questionable platforms. I mean, I don't use TikTok, but millions and millions and millions do. And for the government to come in and say, well, we can't allow this platform to go forward, that's a pretty bold, perhaps unconstitutional step.
And we should note that some of our fellow students come from countries where TikTok bans have already been instituted.
They still have access to the app, but not any of its new content.
Primary election season is underway. In fact, today they are happening in Arizona, Florida, Illinois, Kansas, and Ohio.
Now, last week, primaries were held in some southern states, and our Zatazia Duffy was in one of those locations and now joins us live with more.
Good morning and thanks, guys. Just last week, I was able to travel to North Carolina, where I learned about the low voter turnout rate amongst students on North Carolina A&T's campus. Of almost 14,000 students on their campus, only 747 of them voted and participated in their primary election. It was there I was able to sit down with them and learn more about their voting process and why they did or did not decide to cast their ballots.
Over spring break, I participated in a short course hosted by NABJ and reported on North Carolina's primary and low voter turnout. The turnout was extremely low across the state and even lower on North Carolina A&T's campus.
I haven't voted yet because I'm still looking at both sides. I think they could hold more events on campus and just have more outlets to inform students about what to do when it comes to voting.
I just wanted to make a change in our state and our country. And I felt like since I'm of the legal age to vote, I have the opportunity to do that.
Unfortunately, a lot of people just don't know how the primary system kind of works. And so I think that lack of kind of baseline knowledge impacts things a lot.
As you saw, the students did say that they will benefit from more on-campus resources and additional information on even the possible candidates that they could vote for. If you are here in New York State, you must know that the election is coming up soon. And if you wish to learn more about how you can cast your ballot, you can visit www.ongov.net, where you can obtain your information. For Mornings on the Hill, I am Zatazia Duffy.
Time for basketball in Syracuse. Our sports reporter, Mike Ostrowski, catches us up on how the Orange will be contributing to this year's madness.
Postseason basketball is on the way, at least for one SU squad. Found out their spot in the women's NCAA tournament on Sunday, and it could set them up for a rematch with the team that ended this program's most successful season. On the men's side of things, though, things were not so clear-cut. Adrian Autry's team had their season come to an abrupt end after the NIT selection show, and left many Orange fans wondering why. And the fallout from that disappointing end has already begun, with 2 players entering the NCAA transfer portal. I'll have a more in-depth look at all that and more later in our newscast. For now, Zach, Jonathan, back to you guys.
A man was struck and killed by a Syracuse Central bus last night. Police say the crash occurred around 7:30 on South Salina and Temple Street.
Now, the 69-year-old victim was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say the investigation is still ongoing. This is the second deadly pedestrian incident in a week. Last Wednesday, a 35-year-old woman was killed crossing Harrison Street.
Last week was spring break for some of us, and we traveled to some different destinations.
And some of us didn't. But one of our staffers, Dipanjali Sharma, not only explored a new destination on the ground, but was thousands of feet above it in the sky. Dipanjali, can you tell us more about this experience?
Thanks, guys. Yes, I traveled to Hawaii for my spring break and did my first ever skydive. From 14,000 feet above the ground, I did something so out of my comfort zone, something that I have put long for so long. Here's a look at how it went. I began my vacation with a stunning view of the Honolulu Festival fireworks. But looking at the breathtaking view, excitement and anticipation filled my stomach for what awaited me. I'm in Hawaii right now and I'm about to do my first ever sky jump. It's been on my bucket list for over 8 years now and I'm finally about to do it in my spring break, and I'm both excited and nervous about it, but I'm just hoping that everything goes fine. Later in my vacation, I boarded a small plane filled with first-time skydivers. It was an experience I had eagerly awaited, and I was thrilled to be on that plane until the nerves kicked in. Looking around, I could see that all of us first-timers were quite nervous as we reached the 11,000-foot mark, because in just a matter of seconds, we would be jumping out into the open sky. Even though I was so scared at first when I jumped out, it turned into such a beautiful experience and I couldn't stop smiling because the view was so surreal. After about 5 minutes with the parachute, we landed on the ground, still amazed by what we had seen from up there. The skydiving experience was incredible and quite literally one of the best things that I've ever done. It was such an unforgettable experience for me, where I felt so truly alive and grateful for every single second of it. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Debanjali Sharma.
Jonathan, you're Irish, right?
Zach, what gave it away? But I'll tell you what, Syracuse certainly was over the weekend celebrating its Irish heritage with the 42nd annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. It was a beautiful afternoon. Of course, St. Patrick showing up and the traditional bagpipers and Irish dancers. St. Patrick's Day might not be a big deal back in Ireland, but for the people organizing the parade, it's all about getting the chance to share their culture.
I've been very fortunate that I've had a chance to go over to Ireland many, many times and experience all the great stuff about Ireland. But the parade and the Irish Festival give us the chance to share that with everybody else that might not be so fortunate to travel over there. And it gives us a chance to show our pride and really share with everybody.
Next year, St. Patrick's Day falls on a Monday, but you can bet that won't stop Syracuse from celebrating.
Coming up on Mornings on the Hill, spring break ended Monday. Hear how the Mornings on the Hill staff spent their spring break, aside from skydiving.
And today is the official start of spring. We'll have your full weather forecast up next.
Time to check in on your weather for today.
Our Patrick Smith joins us live in studio.
Well, Jonathan, Zach, thank you very much. Presently, it's 32 degrees, but it feels like 23 outside. Snow showers are persistent, but are easing their way up. Winds are about 12 out of the west. And remember, if you are cold, stay in the corner. They're usually around 90 degrees. As we look at tomorrow's forecast, it does not resemble spring at all. In the morning, exact temps around 35 with snow showers by noon. Afternoon will rise slightly to 39, but snow showers will continue steadily through the evening and will bring cloudy skies with temps around 36, and overnight temps will drop to 31. Now we look at our 5-day forecast. Tomorrow we've got a chance of snow showers in the forecast, but don't worry. They are not planning on sticking around too long. Temps will be reaching high 30s, so that exact snow will melt right away. Both Wednesday and Thursday are expected to bring us some gusty winds near the upper 20s. As for Thursday, expect for some light snow. But as the day progresses, that precipitation should clear up and TGIF, right? Well, it might not be all sunshine and rainbows, but we're looking at mostly cloudy skies with temps reaching a high of 33. And as we roll into the weekend, there's a chance of rain and snow mixture in the early day. We're wrapping up the Sunday with partly cloudy skies just at 39 degrees with a low of 24. Zach, Jonathan, let's hope for some warmer weather coming up.
Another extraordinary spring break journey, but not your typical destination.
Our reporter Kristen Lilly traveled 36 hours to Bali, Indonesia, where culture and adventure collide.
After what felt like a marathon in the sky, I finally touched down in Bali, proving that sometimes the longest journeys lead to the most rewarding destinations. The island of Bali, a destination of rich culture, unique culinary delights, and distinctive modes of transportation. Venturing through Bali on a motorbike, I navigated the island's winding roads surrounded by its vast rice fields. This mode of travel not only allowed me to take the scenic route at my own pace, but also introduced me to the essence of the Balinese daily life. The experience was further enhanced by my stays in unique cave hotels, where being surrounded by nature presented a glimpse into the Balinese habitat. The culinary scene was another avenue that connected me with the local culture. Each dish represented the island's history, traditions, and values with robust flavors and unique ingredients. However, it was my very presence during Nayepi, the Balinese Day of Silence, Fasting, and Meditation, that truly deepened my appreciation for the island's culture. The observance of silence, contrary to the busy energy typically associated with spring break, offered a different perspective on the importance of truly taking a break. My spring break in Bali was an unforgettable experience of culture, leaving me with a deeper understanding and appreciation for the island's unique way of life. For Mornings on the Hill, I'm Kristen Lilly.
And coming up on Mornings on the Hill,
good tournament news for SU women's hoops, bad news and a declined invite for the men. A wild lacrosse weekend for both men and women's lacrosse teams. All that and more coming up after the break.
The bracket is finished and Syracuse women's basketball has their next destination. Welcome into your CNY Sports Update. I'm Mike Ostrowski. FLJ and the number 22 Orange celebrated clinching an NCAA tournament berth Sunday night at Destiny USA. Hundreds of Orange faithful showed up to the watch party with the team, and they were all together when SU was placed in the Storrs bracket as a 6th seed. The Orange will face the winner of Auburn and Arkansas this Saturday at 3:30. If they win that game, it most likely sets up a 2016 National Championship rematch against the UConn Huskies. And as the saying goes, to be the best, you got to beat the best. News on the men's side, though, isn't so good. Not only are the Orange staying home from postseason play for the 3rd straight year, but they're also losing at least 2 players to the transfer portal. Forward Justin Taylor and guard Quadir Copeland both announced they will be leaving the program. Taylor started all 32 games this season, while Copeland was the spark plug off the bench. He would have been the favorite to start at point guard next year if Judah Mintz departs for the draft. Now it seems Adrian Archie will have some work of his own to do in the portal. As for why the Orange didn't receive an NIT invite, it was the university's choice not to participate, according to this statement released to Syracuse.com. We respect the NIT, but our only postseason goal was to play in the NCAA tournament. Therefore, we communicated to the ACC we would not participate in the NIT. Even with SU's current postseason drought being the longest in 50 years, their fan base will have to wait at least a little longer. A Lemoyne baseball alum should soon be making the biggest start of his career. Josiah Gray was just named the opening day starter for the Washington Nationals. It'll be a bit of a full circle moment for Gray, who gets the ball in Cincinnati against the same Reds organization that drafted him back in 2018. That game is next Thursday, March 28th, starting at 4. Now we toss it over to Josh Crawford, who has an update on both SU lacrosse squads. Josh?
Thanks, Mike. While me and the rest of the crew got a much-needed reprieve from Newhouse, our lacrosse athletes weren't as fortunate. It's hard to get a tan like this inside the dome. 4 lacrosse games over the break, including 2 ranked matchups for the men and a top 10 showdown for the women against the Tar Heels of Chapel Hill. Lots of action to go over. Let's jump right into it. SU kicked off the break with a Charlotte showdown against second-rate John Hopkins, with high stakes after SU's previous stumbles versus ranked teams. 2 minutes in, and Christian Mooley takes the pass and goes behind his head to start off the scoring. That will be the first of 3 goals for the hat trick for the 5th-year attack from Lehigh. This game lived up to the hype, with the Blue Jays fumbling away their final chance to send this one into overtime. SU gets their first top 10 win since 2021, and they're off to their first 6-2 start in Gary Gates' career. Second match during the break came against 20th-ranked Delaware, and the Blue Hens struck first, jumping out to a 4-2 early lead in this one, courtesy of sophomore Hank D'Ambroggi. However, SU took control of this game behind a career day from Owen Hiltz. 6 goals, 1 short of his career high for the grad student as Q's powered through the Hens. A little dance break for the SU women's team right there. Less than 90 seconds in, and Natalie Smith attacked up the middle and goes between the goalkeeper's wickets to open the scoring. Pause. First of her career high 4 goals on the day. Third quarter, SU up handily, and Emma Tyrell cashed in for her 200th career goal. Nice hand from the fans right there, as you can see. SU puts up a 20 burger on number 9 USC en route to a 25 blowout. And with that, Cuse gets their first dome win against the Tar Heels in over a decade.
And Josh, SU football begins their spring camp on Thursday. A lot to look forward to, a lot of good positional battles coming up. You got any eyes on anyone in particular?
We talked a lot about this off camera, but I'm curious to see how the receiver room comes together with the new quarterback Kyle McCord. Outside of Rondé Gaston, this team struggled last year. So defining that reliable option outside of Gaston, whether it's in the slot or on the outside, will be critical to ensuring Kyle McCord can be the guy we saw at Ohio State last year.
Josh, I thought you'd be looking at the Dogs. Fadil Diggs, a huge transfer from Texas A&M coming in to really help the pass rush. I'm looking more on the defensive side of the ball to be a force again this season.
No, I would definitely say so. As you noted, we definitely missed the edge freshman before, and him bringing in would definitely be a guy that we could use.
Well, still to come here on Mornings on the Hill, a local hockey tournament is leveling the playing field and giving everyone a chance to play. Stay with us.
SU hockey might not be playing anymore this season, but there was a big trophy up for grabs at the Tennessee Ice Pavilion this weekend.
That's right, Zach. CNY Adaptive Sports hosting a sled hockey tournament, bringing together teams from Albany, Buffalo, Fort Drum, and of course, here in Central New York. The players all overcoming disabilities to get out on the ice for the competition. And that is what drives many of the athletes. And now we're joined here by Professor Seth Gittner, who runs the Inclusive Ice program here on campus at Tennessee Ice Pavilion. Professor Gittner, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So our first question to you is, how did this relationship between SU and the Inclusive Ice program get started?
I was learning to ice skate before I had an accident, and I then was able to try sled hockey at Tennessee on South Campus, and I liked it so much that I ended up joining a team here in Syracuse, and we travel around and play different tournaments.
And I see you got the gear here, you got the goods. Fill us in, what is sled hockey?
Sure, sled hockey is for people that can't essentially walk or have issues walking, and basically have two sticks, one for each hand. You propel yourself forward with by pushing these ice picks, very sharp ice picks, into the ice, and then when the puck comes at you, you kind of back and forth with the puck, and then you slap it, and hopefully you get a score. We also sit in a bucket, and it has two blades on the bottom of it, very sharp blades, and that's what it's just like ice hockey. It's the exact same rules. It's just a delayed offsides, and it's a lot of fun and very tiring for your shoulders.
I bet a lot of arm strength involved there. So how can people get involved if they want to join up and try it, sled hockey?
Yeah, on Tuesday nights at 8:45 p.m., we have a inclusive ice session for members of the campus community. We've had professors come out, we've had faculty, staff from Barnes come out, we've had students. I try to get club sports teams to come out. We've had the rugby team, the women's hockey club, the men's hockey club. Each year we play a game against the men's hockey club as a fundraiser for CNY Adaptive Sports. But 8:45 on Tuesday nights, anyone's welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Gittner, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention your goal in the Adaptive Hockey Tournament final this weekend, the CNY Flyers winning that on Sunday. But that's going to do it for us.
Wish we had the highlights. We had the highlights. That is going to do it for us this Tuesday here on Mornings on the Hill. I'm Zach Prees.
And I'm Jonathan Kinane. We'll see you next Tuesday live right here at 10 a.m. on OTN.
Awesome. Thank you.